clearly Democrats lost terribly in the worst way ever.
And we have to recognize that working class voters of color are largely on the center. In the center, the president did too little, too late to secure the border, and we paid a heavy price. And those ideas do not come from working class people from places like the Bronx. Those ideas typically come from activists and academics who are out of touch with working class people.
Hey there. Today's show is a doozy. We've got a Democrat congressman who just went full truth mode on Morning Joe, leaving the hosts looking like they just found out their teleprompter's been replaced with the Constitution. He's spilling more tea than Boston Harbor about why they lost to Trump in 2024, and trust me, you won't want to miss this epic meltdown. You know what's rarer than finding a socialist with a job? A Democrat actually admitting their party's gone off the rails. Our congressman friend here is about to explain how his party managed to ignore everything Americans care about while chasing what he calls fashionable nonsense. Let's watch.
Well, look, for me, the Democratic Party should have a simple mission, which is to lower costs, lower crime rates, make government work for the people rather than for the interest groups. And we have to recognize that working class voters of color are largely on the center, in the center, on issues like public safety and border security. And we have to meet them where they are. If we swing the pendulum too far to the left, we risk alienating working class people of color. And working class people of color are no different from most Americans. Most Americans want the basics, an affordable cost of living, safe streets, secure borders. And so we should be focused like a laser on delivering the basics and ignore the fashionable nonsense that has taken hold in our politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn because this is better than watching AOC try to explain economics. Our Democrat friend just laid out what should have been obvious to a kindergartner. People want lower costs, less crime, and a government that actually works. Shocking, right? Let's break this down piece by piece. While Americans were worried about putting food on the table, the Democrat Party was busy renaming manholes to maintenance holes and probably trying to figure out if math is racist. It's like watching someone try to fix a flat tire by changing the radio station. And how about that admission about working class voters of color being in the center? You mean to tell me that not every minority voter wants to defund the police and turn their neighborhood into a social justice experiment? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Now buckle up because our Democrat friend is about to drop a truth bomb about Biden's border policies that'll have you spitting out your fair trade organic coffee. Let's watch.
When you say swing too far to the left, what do you mean specifically?
Well, in the case of the 2024 election, it was immigration. As I've said repeatedly, I felt the president did too little, too late to secure the border, and we paid a heavy price in the 2024 election. For me, both inflation and immigration were the leading causes of Democratic defeat in 2024. And in the case of immigration, I felt like the Biden administration did make fatal miscalculations that cost us the election.
Oh, my freedom. That was beautiful. Fatal miscalculations, he says, which is political speak for, we screwed up worse than a chocolate factory in a heat wave. Let's dissect this masterpiece of admission. For 4 years, Biden's team told us inflation was transitory, like my ex's commitment to veganism, and the border was secure, about as secure as Hunter Biden's laptop. They watched illegal crossings hit numbers higher than Snoop Dogg at a concert and still insisted everything was fine. And remember how they kept saying the system is working? Yeah, working about as well as a screen door on a submarine. While Americans were watching their savings evaporate faster than Biden's approval ratings, the Democrats were busy telling us that 2 + 2 = 5 and the border crisis was just a right-wing conspiracy. Get ready for the grand finale, patriots. Our congressman is about to go nuclear on the abolish everything crowd. You know, those ivory tower intellectuals who think the solution to crime is interpretive dance and group hugs. Let's watch.
Yeah, so I spoke to an activist who was advocating for abolishing the police, and I said, let me get this straight. You want to conduct a social experiment on the lowest income communities of color in places like the Bronx. So what happens if that experiment goes badly? What happens if it leads to an outbreak of gun violence and gang violence and youth violence? Like, you live in a wealthy white neighborhood in an ivory tower, insulated from the consequences of your utopianism, whereas my constituents are poor people of color who have to live with high costs and high crime rates. And we should be speaking to the lived experience of people of color. You know, when you consider some of the most utopian ideas in politics, whether it's abolishing prisons or abolishing the police or abolishing ICE, those ideas do not come from working class people from places like the Bronx. Those ideas typically come from activists and academics who are out of touch with working class people.
Holy Constitution. That wasn't just a mic drop. That was a tactical nuclear truth bomb that just vaporized every woke-topian fantasy from Portland to Martha's Vineyard. Let's savor this moment like a fine wine of liberal tears. This Democrat congressman just called out these champagne socialists who sit in their gated communities, probably sipping their $15 oat milk lattes while writing manifestos about abolishing police on their MacBook Pros. Think about it. These abolish police advocates haven't seen actual crime since someone put regular milk in their soy latte. Yet they're telling folks in the Bronx what's best for them. That's like me telling Tom Brady how to throw a football from my couch while eating Cheetos. And here's the kicker. These same academics and activists who push these policies are now probably writing think pieces about what went wrong in 2024 from their favorite fair trade coffee shops. Here's a hint. Maybe it was telling working Americans that their concerns about crime, borders, and basic safety were just manifestations of their unconscious bias. What we've witnessed today isn't just another political story, it's a wake-up call that's been years in the making. While the ivory tower elites are still nursing their wounds from Trump's victory, we're here bringing you the unfiltered truth that mainstream media won't touch. If you believe in honest, no-nonsense commentary that cuts through the political theater like a hot knife through butter, then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button like Trump hitting his inauguration speech, and smash that like button harder than the Democrats' dreams of keeping the White House. Here's what I want to know from you. If these Democrat elites are finally admitting they've lost touch with working Americans, what do you think it'll take for them to actually change their ways? Or is this just another performance for the cameras? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going.